How you doing, Boyd?
Hey, what's happening?
I'm good, man. How are you? It's good to talk to you.
You too, man. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. So I saw The Cursed a year ago at Sundance when it was eight for silver. I love that name. If I'm honest, I wish they hadn't changed it. But it's but I really enjoyed the film, man. It's a really unique take on the werewolf story, man.
Hmm.
Is that kind of what drew you to the movie? What was it that you saw in the character John McBride and the story overall that wanted you to be part of this?
Yeah, I've always been like a big fan of horror films,
Hmm.
but I never really saw myself being an actor in them. I kind of enjoy them for the shock value and the fear factor that it creates in you. But I've been a big fan of Sean Ellis for a while, and then I heard he was making a new film, and then we talked and told me what the story was about, and then I sent him like a little audio recording of me reading something in a British accent, and then it was like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's really get down to this.
You said that you never really seen yourself in horror movies. Why do you think that is?
I I just you know I don't know. I just kind of grew up and trained like in theater and stuff like that, and just didn't really kind of just I've always seen it as something that was its own sort of pillar, and it's like a horror film. But I'm yeah, happy I made the choice.
So you get to play John McBride, who's sort of the hunter in this movie in a sense, and but the movie's not your straightforward kind of werewolf movie. It's one that
Mhm.
deals with legacies and all sorts of different things, and it's even sort of a revenge movie, but in a way that people don't really expect. Talk to me about your feelings about McBride as a character.
Well, I was really attracted to the character being a sort of pioneer in medical practice, surgery, being a
Mhm.
pathologist. There's no anesthesia at that time. I'm very nostalgic about anything before 1895,
Yeah.
just how the living conditions were. And I give the analogy of like we all nowadays in modern time wonder who are we, and we have this exponential amount of time just to sit around and think what our lives mean. When back
Yeah.
then, you didn't do all that stuff, and it was just simpler and more primitive and more raw of an experience. I'm not saying that I would like enjoy living that existence, but yeah, it was just really great to approach a character that didn't have a lot of attachments. It was just a very straightforward, refreshing character
how,
to
how do you
approach.
How do you research a role like this? I don't know if you go back and you like reread a bunch of old werewolf stories, although I don't even know if that would really even
Mhm.
work for this kind of movie, which that, like I said, does, kind of different things with the whole werewolf lore. How do you research this role?
Yeah, good point. I don't feel like McBride even knows what it is that he's after, or what's after him, so to say. Um, he's trying to figure that out, and I think that's why the film was working well. And on top of that, of how to approach that from a very pragmatic way of just repetition of running the accent, and just getting comfortable in that voice, and then to just taking old medical manuals around that time and understanding the reality of what that is too, and just letting that exist in a way.
You talked about your excitement to work with Sean Ellis. He is a fantastic
Mm.
filmmaker. I really loved Anthropoid from a couple years ago. Um, Talk to me about what he brought to the table that drew you into this movie.
Well, when you have a person who's writing it, shooting it, directing it, producing it, that's the person you talk to. And if Sean's very much the guy, if you want something done right, he does it himself kind of guy. And when you're working on something where it's a different writer and it's a different director and it's a different DP, if you have a change on a line or something like that,
Mm.
Sean can change that in a second just by asking him a question. But then there's a little bit more bureaucracy in a bigger film, or you know what I mean by that. So there's different communication lines you have to go up the totem pole. So in that way, there's just a real sense of intimacy of how we're going to get this done and work together and collaborate on this. And he's a collaborator.
The movie to me leaves the door open for possibly more. I mean, I think it's a big story told in personal ways, in a personal way. I could see the door being left open. Would you be willing to come back for more if there were more cursed movies?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but you're totally right. And yes, absolutely, I would. Pete and Mickey over at LD Entertainment, I love those guys' death and how they incubated a film for Sean to work in. Absolutely, I'd do it again.
Well, Boyd, this has been fantastic, man. I really appreciate it. I'm a big fan of yours, and I wish you the best with this movie as well. So good luck to you on that, and thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I look forward to seeing you down the road, Travis. Nice to meet you, bud.
Absolutely, thanks, man.
See you, man.
Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.